Hi guys, and welcome to another Watch Geek video. Today we take a look at one of the few old school G-Shocks still offered for sale today. I also did a detailed tutorial on this model, so if you want to check that out once it becomes available, you'll have the link in the corner of the screen. Although this model itself is not that old, the design harkens back to the G-Shocks of the 90s. From the color scheme of the bezel with the red G-Shock inscription and a large G, all the way to the screen layout. I especially love the colored moon and tide graph. This is the G9100 Gulfman, one of the first and sadly one of the most underappreciated Master of G models. Master of G was meant to be a professional line of G-Shocks that was above the regular models, with each model being specialized in something. The Gulfman was built for the seas, and as such, Casio decided to give it higher rust resistance than what we find on regular models. This feature is even written on the strap and on the caseback that also features a turtle of some sort that reminds me a lot of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, although this one seems to be holding some kind of brushes or scrapers. A pretty cool motif that separates Master of G models from the rest of the lineup. To achieve this above average rust resistance, all the parts that are usually done in steel, like the caseback, the screws holding the bezel, and even the buckle are done in titanium, which not only increases the rust resistance, but also decreases the weight, making this one of those watches that simply disappears on your wrist. It is also one of the smallest chunky G-Shocks you can buy. I say chunky as it has one of the highest bezels I have seen on a G-Shock, creating more than adequate crystal protection. But thanks to the small diameter and lug-to-lug, it actually wears as small as a G-Shock square. It also has one of the coolest backlight applications ever, the same as the Mudman of that era, with two backlight panels, one for the screen and another used for the rest of the dial. It makes for an easy watch to read while being cool. In my opinion, a much better illumination than the super illuminator LEDs found on modern G-Shocks. The backlight duration is also selectable between 1.5 and 3 seconds, and despite not being solar, it does offer automatic activation of the illumination when you tilt your wrist. Sadly, the function itself turns itself off after 6 hours to save the battery, as the lack of a solar cell also means the watch doesn't know when it's in the dark, so it keeps activating whenever you tilt your wrist, regardless of you needing it or not. When it comes to the rest of the functions, they're pretty standard with a few added details. So beside the pretty obvious tide graph and moon phase indicators, you get a pretty basic world time function, a 24-hour stopwatch with a 5-second pre-start function so you can measure your launch precisely, something I first saw used on the legendary DW6600, and always wondered why it never became standard on all models. Then we have a 24-hour countdown timer settable in 1-minute increments with an auto repeat option. In my opinion, the most useful function used in real life. And finally, 3 alarms, with one being a snooze alarm, and all of them programmable as daily, yearly, or monthly alarms. So basically all the basic functions we see on most G-Shocks, but here a bit more refined. In many ways, this reminds me a lot of the much more popular G9000 Mudman of the era, not only with the already mentioned light function, but also the size and proportions, with one huge difference. Unlike the Mudman, the Gulfman has easy-to-press buttons that will not give you calluses as you operate them, making it a much better watch than its more popular brother. This watch never gained the popularity the Mudman got, and while in my opinion that is quite unfair, the plus side is that they can be found at bargain prices. It makes for a perfect G-Shock if you're in the market for a smaller, old-school styled G-Shock but find the 5600 square a bit too dull. Well, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed and found it useful. If you did, please like and subscribe, and until the next video, bye.